evening. Welcome. I'm Alyson Schafer, and I am the parenting expert here at HuffPost Canada. And tonight we're doing a Facebook Live, and our juicy topic for you is troubles with getting our kids to sleep, getting them to bed, which I know is a huge burning issue for a lot of parents. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. And to join me in it tonight, I've got my friend here, Frank Nelson. Can you tell us a little bit about your family, who you're representing in terms of the troublemaker in your house?
Sure, I would love to. Well, Alyson, first of all, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
I'm a high school teacher here in Toronto. I've also written a children's book called Milo's Adventures, obviously with my son Milo. Oh, I have a son named Milo, who's 4 years old, by the way.
Who's
now semi-famous. And I have a blog with my husband BJ called Families About Love, and we blog about the process of surrogacy and all the trials and tribulations of raising anyways, I won't say what the 4-year-olds are called. But we're here. We had the easiest sleeper. Our kid was sleeping, honestly, by 3 weeks through the night, no problem. And
There's people who hate you now for saying that, but okay, so then what happened?
I know, and I rarely say it, especially to women for some reason. It's even worse. But so he was always good. I thought we were going to have the best, and everyone would always say to me, just wait. And we've now, ever since he's been able to get out of his bed at 4, we've had issues with him going to bed on time or at a decent hour and without someone in bed with him. So I really need your help.
Okay, we got help coming up, and also not just help for you, but we wanted to make this a conversation. So I also want to introduce Tamara Robbins Griffith. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your home life, your family, your burning issue that we're going to help you with tonight.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I live with my husband and 2 kids. My son is almost 7, and he's been pretty much like a sleep champ most of his life.
It's always when the first one is good, so you think, why not have another baby, honey? This is going so easily.
And then my daughter is 3.5. I have a 3-nager. Yes. So, and she's just a real night owl. She has various issues that we'll get into in further detail, but it's hard. I'm a PR and social media manager, so I work, I commute, it's a long day, and I didn't really think that I would be having these problems with my children and sleep in the night at this stage. You kind of think it's a problem for
infancy, right?
Yeah. And even Amelia was better when she was, up until she was about 2, she was pretty good sleeping. So now, what's derailed us?
Mm-hmm. And
help me.
And I have to say, and both of you are working parents, right? So, I mean, it's exhausting to have sleep issues with your kids. And if you think about how tired you guys are, you can only imagine with their little bodies how much more fatigued and exhausted they are, right? Mm-hmm. So let's get some help. And again, people that are joining us now, there's a comment field. Please type your questions, type your comments, your advice, some support for these people who are being kind to share their stories, because I think it helps us all when we know that we're not alone in this. If you just live in your own little family silo, you think you're the only one who's got the kid who won't go to bed. And when you start having these conversations, you realize this really is actually a very common problem. We're all frustrated. So let's, I know you've got multiple issues, but let's get.
Well, I do not. I'm perfect. It's my kid.
Oh, so let's see if we can't see if that's not true.
Separate college show, separate HuffPost show.
Very separate show.
So go ahead. What's the first thing that we could help you out here?
Well, I always call my son the master negotiator. He, anyone who meets him thinks he's for sure going to be an attorney one day. He can negotiate anything, to the point now, no matter what I say, eat that food. 2 more. Luckily, he doesn't know, I was telling you before, he doesn't know his numbers very well, so he sometimes negotiates himself down from 7 to 1 and in the same breath. And I'm like, okay, one
so it's
one
only
minute,
one cookie.
it's one cookie, we're all good. But, we're trying to, he negotiates his bedtime. I'm trying to figure out a way that we can stop him from his procrastinating and get him to bed at a safe, decent hour.
So people out there, kids dawdling at bedtime, kids dawdling with tuck-ins. I mean, I'm telling you, as someone who's in private practice, I get this question all the time. So, what time are you starting bedtime?
So we try, we have dinner, right after dinner, maybe it gets like a little bit of TV time, and then around 7 o'clock we are moving upstairs to get ready for bed, brush our teeth, and whatever else. And I'm pretty sure He's not in bed. I mean, that we're still in his room at 9, sometimes 9:30, and it seems way too late.
So this is like 2.5 hours of good night moon.
Yes. I don't even know what's going on half the time. Like, where are we?
So again, I mean, a tuck-in should be an enjoyable part of the evening. It should be something that you look forward to. Who doesn't like to have a bath and nice cuddle down or whatever? But this extended drawing it out, and the reason why kids dawdle, if we say, like, what's the usefulness of the behavior? What's the purpose of the behavior? You know, it just means they get more time to visit with you. They're just extending the joy of socializing with you. So right now he is leading the schedule. And so long as he's not moving, everything slows down. And I think really here we want to switch that up. I want you to lead the schedule. A comparator would be, think of the schedule of the Toronto transit system. You know, we got to get a million people to work in the morning, right? So the guy who's driving the subway, and this is what I'm going to sign you up for, okay?
I have to drive
Yes.
the subway?
Well,
Okay.
You're going to drive your routine at home,
Okay.
okay? But you can imagine the subway pulls into the station, right? You know, clear the doors are closing, Bloor Station, right? Clear the doors are closing, Bay Station. And so they just keep moving along, and it's the people that have to make the accommodations to get onto the schedule of the TTC, all right? They don't open the door and say, Milo,
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. We're not leaving Bloor Station until you're on this train. You just go, nope, sorry, Milo, you missed the train. So I want you to set the pace. So you can go up and say, it's time to put on pajamas. He's no doubt jumping on the bed. I'm just guessing. Not that I've been.
Something like that.
Yeah, not that I've watched in your windows.
There's something outside to look at. There's always something.
Something to play with. Yeah, right. Are you recognizing
Yes.
this?
Well, I just have to look out the window.
So important. So very important. Yeah. So again, I just want you to implement some consequences. So I want you to do is to say, oh, you know, if you'd like to put your pajamas on, now's the time. If you're not interested, then we'll just move on to brushing teeth. I don't care if he goes to bed with his clothes on. Well, you know what? We're here brushing our teeth. You need to brush your teeth now, or otherwise we're going to move on to stories. If you don't brush your teeth, the consequence is we don't get sugar tomorrow because we didn't get the old sugar off. And just keep moving along. And then finally, when it's 7:30, you say, you know what? That's it. Tuck-in's over. I'm finished reading the book. Goodbye. Now you're setting the time clock, and he needs to make the adjustment. If you practice that for a week, you will see a shift in him.
All right.
Right.
You hear that, my husband?
The great thing about a Facebook Live is it's archived.
You hear that, BJ?
Yes.
But I like that. I use that toothbrushing technique,
Yeah,
and
that
it works.
sounds really good.
It works
Consequences
totally well for
are
us.
effective. Plan them in advance. So what about you? How can I help? What's going on?
Okay. Well, I think it kind of goes to when she first was trying to climb out of the crib. And so I thought, well, maybe it'll motivate her to sleep in her bed and be happy about going to sleep if we convert to the toddler bed. Mm-hmm. And then she was just not interested in the toddler bed. And it was too small because it's the size of a crib for me to really get in there. So we started letting her sleep in our bed.
Oh, okay. I see.
Right?
I see
And
how
so
it began.
this is like, you said at the beginning, this is like universal parenting issues, but, I'm kind of embarrassed. Right?
Yes,
Because
you are.
you feel like you've sort of given in, the children are totally ruling the roost. We have like rules about other things, but then I'm like, no, come sleep in our bed, just want you to fall asleep. It's like it's like the path of least
tired.
resistance sometimes because, I'm tired, I'm working,
And they capitalize on that.
Oh, yeah.
They capitalize on that.
And then the funny thing is, like, my son, who's almost 7, he goes to bed first, and he's asleep by like 8:15, conked out, and then she's like, no. How do I get her to stay in her
Yeah.
bed? Go
So-
to her bed, sleep in her bed.
Sorry. Get out of my bed. So first thing is, I'm always thinking about what's the usefulness of behavior. And it's not uncommon for one sibling to realize that once the other sibling is in bed, now I can monopolize your time. I don't have anyone else in the limelight with me. And they will fight sleep just to have that one-on-one time with you. So again, this idea that we've got to stop the socializing that happens in the evening. And so here you've gotten into this pattern, and we want to switch that pattern. So we want to set out a bedtime routine where she knows, no, we're going to be sleeping in our bed, not mommy's bed. And consistency is going to have to really be key here so that she understands that this really is a no-go zone. Like, does she always wear a seatbelt and go in a car seat?
Yes.
So she knows mom knows how to set limits and boundaries. She knows does she juggle with knives?
Only sometimes. Just kidding.
I bet you say no to candy floss for breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can say no to that your bed is no longer available. But she's going to test you on that, so things will get worse before they get better. But the trick is in that consistency. So I would I mean, I know you're tired now, but if you just can commit to 10 days, or if she's very strong-willed, or she knows you're an absolute pushover, it might take 14.
Okay.
But it's the consistency of saying
Definitely strong-willed.
not available, not available, not available. This is where we're going to sleep tonight. You know, and if you want, I really like this idea. Is you can say to her, I do like cuddling with you. I mean, because
I love it.
Isn't that why we had babies?
so
Yeah.
sweet.
They are
And
so,
they
and
are
they're so
so
sweet
sweet.
at bedtime, aren't they?
They're
They
so
smell better after bath.
Bath, PJs.
Yeah. So I would just switch that to it being a nightly thing, to saying, you're not invited into my bed anymore. You've got your own bed to sleep in. We all need to sleep better. But I would love to have a monthly sleepover. And then you put it on the calendar, right? You have movie popcorn, whatever, you have fun. But now you've got your little cuddle time, but it's a non-negotiable. So consistency is really going to be the key there.
Okay.
I'm looking at this look of hesitation.
No, I need to like
seems easier.
time
It sounds
the,
easier.
Yeah.
the 2 weeks of my life that I'm
Yeah.
going to schedule this to happen.
And that's fair
when,
enough. And
right?
that, no, I say this to parents. You know, you've already put in 3.5 years of this misery, so you can wait another 2 weeks. You don't want to do it when you've got something going on at work, or they've got an ear infection, or a tooth is coming in, where you're going to be undermining whether things are okay. It's
Right.
absolutely fine to put in your training time in your calendar when it suits you.
Okay.
Yeah, but once you start it, you got to follow through until she stops testing that limit anymore. Just like when she stopped arguing about the car seat.
I think it's hard sometimes because children have mixed messages. Like we were just away for 3 weeks. He was sleeping with us on almost every night, right? Which we kind of allowed just because of the environment that we're in. And then we come home, we're like, no, you're never allowed to sleep with us.
Yeah.
But they can figure out 2 sets of rules. Like at school, it goes like this.
That's
At
true.
grandma's house, it
Yeah.
goes like, you can say on holidays, it looks like this, and at home, it looks like that.
That's
And
true.
yeah. Again, they'll test the boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not too young to be confused by that. Yeah.
Okay, good to
Yeah.
know.
So you said you have some other bad habits with sleep, though.
Well, we have a similar issue. Like I said, he was a great sleeper, but he was also a great climber. So very early on, and we had one of those old fashioned, the high cribs, and he fell out of it very quick, just before 2. And we took him out right away because he just loved to climb out of it every night. It
Some
became a
kids are-
thing.
You had a climber, too.
Well, I just didn't. I felt like it was close, and I thought I'd take my chances on the toddler bed. But
I now wish that he was in that bed for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Like those friends that have their kids till 4 and they're,
Yeah.
anyways,
yeah, they're
dream.
smarter than we thought they were.
They are smarter than we thought. But so when he started getting out, we moved him also to a toddler bed. That did not work because he wanted us in there. He kept getting out. So we bought him a bigger bed that we can also lie in there with him. Not on purpose. That's not how it happened. But now we're at a point where he needs one of us to lie with him every night. Now, like you said, I do love it some nights. He will, kiss me and do lovely things when we're lying in bed. But, it's the only time of night that we get some time, me and my husband, to get together. Bubby and Zeta, when he sleeps over at their house, don't always love it. And it sometimes is complicated with babysitters, too, because he won't go to bed. I'll get calls at 10. He's
Come
still
home
up.
from the movie and rub his back.
It's happened,
my
it's
God.
happened. Not too often. He's pretty good, but we just can't figure out how we can create an environment that will get him to bed by himself and feel safe about it.
So right now he's really been trained to use you guys as a sleep prop. And all of us have something that helps us get to sleep at night. The thing is, you don't want your sleep prop to be another person, whether it's your dad or any other person. You want to be able to put yourself to sleep independently. And I would say he may not have those skills, or he may not be conscious of what those skills are. So I would say, hey, you need to learn how to put yourself to sleep, because otherwise I can't always go to grandma's house. You want to be able to go to sleepovers and go to camp and go to college. We hope. So eventually, this is a skill set that's going to be really important to you. And so you could do something like, notice your body position. Do you sleep are you a tummy sleeper? Do you sleep on your back? Do you do the little jackknife thing?
You would ask them.
Yeah, I would absolutely ask them. And so just to bring our audience in, if you're just joining us now on Facebook Live, we're talking about sleep issues. And again, this is a community event. I've got 2 great parents that are sharing their stories, but your stories and questions are important too. So use the comment field, please, and post away and talk amongst yourselves. I know people have things that work for them, and you can cross-mentor each other. So where was I?
You were talking about him not sleeping at college.
Yeah. and you went white as a ghost.
I did. That's all you. I'm stuck on that.
So you're going to college with him, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this scenario, he's not drinking Red Bull.
So also think about those things that he could do. So again, the positioning piece. Think about what do you think about when you fall asleep? And we have the iconic sheep jumping over a fence, but it might be planning your next birthday, something exciting to think about, or what we might do on our next holiday. You can also give him something of yours that's not you. Like you can give him your pillow, you can give him a sheet, but also just think about the room too, so that the room is actually conducive to sleep. It should be cool, it should be really super dark, and sometimes a white noise machine will kind of drown out background sounds. So this is how we have good sleep hygiene. And work with him so he thinks it's like a fun little goal you're working on together.
All right, I'm going to try some of those things.
Yeah. And get out. I hate to say it, that's a big part.
Yeah. I was so into the white noise machine when my kids were babies, and then I got rid of it. Obviously, like the crib, just too soon.
Too soon.
I thought maybe it was bad for their ears, or I don't know, that they needed to learn to sleep without it, but I should have hung on to it longer. Anyway, so the other issue that I wanted to ask you about is that so sometimes we can get her to fall asleep in her bed, sometimes she's falling asleep in our bed, but either case, if she falls asleep in our bed, when she's asleep, I'll move her. And she's pretty deep sleep, so we can move her. And then, I can have a few minutes to myself to actually read or turn on a light in our bedroom. But then she will wake up in the middle of the night and come back.
I'm laughing with recognition.
Right?
That wasn't laughing at you. That was laughing at,
You were talking about the sound of the feet in the hall, and I can
Ours
hear
crawls into our room.
Crawls in.
Yeah, I don't know
You
why.
wake up in the morning and you're like, hey, I didn't know. Did you get in here? Yeah, they're stealth. They can be very stealth.
I guess I'm looking for, what would we use as a middle of the night routine? How can we get her back in her bed when I'm really tired, my defenses are down, I have less resolve than I would at bedtime.
And you just know
morning.
she's going to plead all the things because you're tired and have no resolve. She's going to plead all the things that you can't ignore. I'm scared I had a nightmare. I'm scared. I'm scared of the dark. What mother would leave us frightened? I'm hungry, Mom. I'm hungry. What good mother would possibly let her kid, starve? Which is why when you're setting up that routine that I told you about, when you're doing the TTC driver, when you make that routine, you need to make sure that you include evening snack time for your kids, whether they eat it or not. And of course, you don't want them jacked on sugar. You want to go with a low sugar option. But you want to make that available to them every night at the same time so that they're more likely to sleep through the night and not wake up out of hunger. But then if they do come and complain to you, you can say, you know what? That's already been looked after. It's not it's now a non-negotiable, and you don't have to feel like a bad mom. The trick is you got to, again, consistency. The routine is to be consistent in walking them back and to do it in a way that has the least amount of socializing. So you're not saying, come on, we're doing another tuck-in, 3 kisses, now kiss your teddy bear. You're just basically walking them back.
And then
walking them back.
If she wants me to lie with her, if I do walk her back.
You say, I'd really like to, but Alyson, the parenting expert, said I'm not allowed to, and I just said it on air.
Call Alyson, and she's going to tell you that I can't stay.
We really can't give them multiple tuck-ins. So we can be kind and gentle, but that gentle part is being firm. That we're really we're gonna stick to this. And so I can walk them back 2 or 3 times, then I start to lose it. I'm not cool after 3 times. So I find it's easier to either close off my door or put a baby gate up and make a barrier so that they realize you're done. You're done. And again, 3 nights, 4 nights, they're gonna test that, and then they're gonna wake up and go, I'm not going to go crawl in her bed. She's going to walk me back. It's a better choice to sleep through the night. So they're experiential learners, but you got to give them the experiences, as hard as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because that one could be hard. Because eventually, if I walk back 2 times, I'm not going to bed that night.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the end of our show tonight. Can you believe this? Where does the time go? And there's probably all kinds of more questions that people want to ask and more help available. So I just want to say thank you very, very much to Kellogg's Rice Krispies for making this possible. And there is more help. If you look at the link below and you click on it, we've got more resources on the topics we talked about tonight, as well as some additional information. So thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you guys for being willing to share your family stories. Tell your kids to watch this. Say, it's not me. Blame that lady in the white jacket.
She said it.
I hope this was helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Have a great night.